Hello, 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 all to the Bulbacast. I am your humble host, Rhodehawk. I am incredibly excited to have our Pokemon Day predictions cast. We have a great group of people here today. Um, what I'm gonna go with is who I see first to introduce people. And I'm gonna actually start with somebody familiar because that's what I see first. And I'm gonna start with Storm. Storm, can you remind everybody who you are, what you do, and as we move into our intro conversation, I'm gonna try to summarize down a little bit with Pokemon Go, Pokemon Sleep, Pokemon Smile, which honestly I forget that a game exists almost every second of every day. Pokemon's mobile offerings have been attempts to get more integrated into everyday life. So, that being said, if you were to make a new Pokemon mobile game, what area of life would you like to make a new Pokemon game centered around?
Okay, so hi, I'm Storm. Um, I am a Bulbapedia admin, part of the leadership board. And my specialty is spin-offs, and even I forget that Pokemon Smile exists, so you're not alone. And but if I had to pitch a new Pokemon mobile app, I would call it Pokemon Mealtime, and it's like so it's like an app that helps you, track your diet and develop healthy eating habits, but with Pokemon.
So, I love that, and that actually made me think of something that I am surprised is not a thing, and it made me think of Pokemon Workout, where you work out and exercise with various fighting types. And as you progress, you level them up and evolve them. But going into that, I'm now going to move over to Darren and welcome, by the way. Darren, can you let everybody know who you are and if there was a Pokemon mobile game that had an area of life, what would you want that to be centered around?
Okay, well, first of all, it's an honor to be here. This is the first time I've actually been on the Bulbacast, so hello everyone. My name is Darren. I run a newsletter called Johto Times. We've been around since February 2023, and it's just great to be here talking about Pokemon on the 30th anniversary. In terms of a mobile game, I've got like answers for everything that we're going to be talking about today, but I didn't actually prepare for this one because I must have missed it at the top. But I want to say that I don't have one, but I do have an idea for an existing game or a game idea that I think would work really well on mobile. And I just kind of just want to see Pokemon Snap, but for actual mobile phones with the actual camera, with like, maybe something similar to like when you take pictures in Pokemon Go, but you can like, depending on the environments that you're in, you could take pictures of Pokemon with you and things like that. I think just an actual Pokemon Snap with a camera, which they should have done a decade ago. But new Pokemon Snap is great. But yeah, something that utilizes a mobile phone and Pokemon Snap, I think would be fantastic.
Thank you. I have to admit, I love that idea. I love every idea that's been shared so far. Partly, and I gotta put love on Pokemon Snap. That game should realistically be there. I'm kind of surprised it
Such a
has
good
not been
game.
capitalized. Oh yeah,
Mm.
it's amazing. And I will say I want to put love really quickly on new Pokemon Snap. That was a fantastic addition, in my opinion, to the Pokemon franchise. But Ghost, can you remind everybody who you are, what you do, and if there was a mobile game that was a part of everyday life, what would you choose?
Hello, I am Ghost Diplocalus, and I'm a super moderator over at Bulbagarden. And if I had to make to and I mean, to be honest, like my idea was going to be similar to yours, like a workout Pokemon app. But another another one could be. hmm, But another one could be like maybe some sort of planner maybe some sort of planner to help help people organize their their time better within allocating things to, oh, I'm going to use this time to to work on, say, for homework for those for those still in school, or when you get out of work, like to maximize your free time as best as possible, and so on. Like maybe with psychic and electric types helping on that, because they feel thematically appropriate for that sort of thing.
Okay, so I gotta say, Pokemon Company, if you're listening, we have great ideas. Um, and who
Hear
knows?
us.
Maybe we can.
Are you hiring?
Yeah, absolutely. Hire us. We can help you figure things out. Obviously, we know what we're doing. And so getting into things, and because first of all, I actually think I like that better than mine. I think that would be a great kind of draw for the neurospicy community that like consumes Pokemon, which I'm a member of. But because I actually want to start, because as we talk about this, you and I have actually gushed about our love of Pokemon Horizons before. Uh, and I want to do a quick plug for Pokemon Horizons. If people have not seen that yet, I highly recommend it. It's really special, and it's really cool. I think it's honestly some of the most mature anime we've gotten. Well, no, I'm not going to go that far. There have been side anime that I'm not counting in this situation because like Husui Snow or whatever was amazing. Um, but I'm going to dive into Pokemon Horizons. And GD, do you think that Pokemon Horizons is gonna get a showcase on this Pokemon Day?
I do think it's a possibility, because mainly because, like, there's every indication, like, right now they're doing a lot of preparations, to to take down Spinel and stuff. So, like, everything about it just screams we are moving into the final act. So I think, like, it would be it would be a pretty good idea to show that off, with a trailer.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
absolutely agree.
I will confess that I'm not up to date on Horizons, but I feel like that that it would be unlikely that they would do a trailer for something that's like, the current that's, talking about the whatever the current arc is in Japan, because that's only in Japan. The international versions have not gotten that far, so so it would just be, number one, spoiling everybody who hasn't been following the Japanese anime, and number two, just confusing for people who haven't seen that far ahead. So I just don't see a trailer like that being likely inclusion in in a presents that's aimed at a global audience.
Well, by trailer, I meant more of a teaser, but that's a fair point.
Who knows? Maybe we could get the thing that not Caps, Storm and I have been talking about for I think what, like 2 years now, which is the Pokemon Horizons cast in Pokemon Masters, which they did have Ash and they had Jesse and James, which please Pokemon re-release James just so I can add him to my game because I missed him and it's been like what, like 4 years or something since they had him in. Um yeah, but I would love that. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna go into Pokemon Masters. Oh my gosh, the game I'm obsessed with is already popping up, and I'm gonna stop myself. Um, but moving into that though, I think it's very valid for starters that they wouldn't do that. But I could see a teaser. I could see something else. But I do also, because I am the host and I get to be selfish sometimes, I did want to talk about the cool one-off projects that we've gotten. Um, those who listen to the cast know I absolutely am a massive Pokemon concierge advocate. Um, It is one of the coziest, most remarkable shows I've seen from Pokemon in a while, and I'm not at all biased or stubborn in that belief. Um, but I know Caps, you haven't really talked up yet, but you are interested in the discussion of like the one-offs, like the Surfetch limited series, Pokemon Concierge, and others. Do you want to jump in and share your voice really quickly?
Sure. Hello. Hi, I'm Caps. Well, welcome in. I'm glad that all of you are here. I have been trying not to I've been trying to stop myself from smiling because I've literally been smiling this entire time because everything so far has been so beautiful with the intro questions and seeing everyone pop off in chat. It's awesome. Anyway, so I have not confession. I have not actually watched Pokemon Concierge. But I do really like the idea of Pokemon doing these kind of one-off, limited series style games, or not games, anime, very different things. Um, in different kind of realms of life, and we've also got this teaser for the like kind of claymation, stop motion animation from I can't remember the name of the studio, but it's
Oddman.
Yes, Aardman. It's the Surfetched and Pikachu or whatever. Um, I think that's pretty cool. So we've got Pokemon running a hotel. We've got Pokemon as a knight, and his trusty sidekick Pikachu. I think what we need is we need something around music. I think Pokemon music is one of the cornerstones of the franchise. It's instantly recognizable. It's one thing you can at least guarantee is high quality pretty much throughout every single main series game without question. Um I think having something around maybe well, I guess it is set in Galar. The new spin-off anime is set in Galar too. But you know how like at the end of Sword and Shield they have like the Rillaboom and the Obstagoon and the Toxtricity all playing in a band together. I think like
Yeah.
something like that in the style of like Bocchi the Rock would be really really cute, and I just think that would be
Maximizers, that's their name.
the Maximizers. Like maybe we just follow the Maximizers as they go on tour, or maybe if they wanted to even get like real weird with it, they could do something like a playoff of like something like This Is Spinal Tap, where it's like a documentary about the Pokemon band as they travel across the regions going on tour. I think that would be really cute. That is my out of left field prediction for Pokemon Day in terms of short anime limited series.
I just want to jump in really quickly. People probably heard the emotional damage sound I made. As Cap said, once again, I have not seen Pokemon Concierge. Caps, how long have I been promoting the show with you like serving as producer?
Too
Because
long.
that was not a controlled noise. Like that was actual emotional damage you caused for me today.
I am so sorry. I will say this. The thing that I have consumed of Pokemon Concierge is one of my friends was watching this with her mother. And her mother asked if Wingull was a towel. And I can't get that out of my mind. And if you go and look at the still image of Wingull from Pokemon Concierge, it looks like a beach towel. And I know that's like the point of Wingull's design, but it's so cute. And you know what? Like that's like the only experience I have with Pokemon Concierge outside of you recommending it to me, Road. And I don't know if I necessarily want to like ruin it by watching the anime because I think that's beautiful.
By the way, that reminds me, there was this meme, like there's this old meme about how Wingull without its beak and its wings is basically just a little white kitty blob. And I don't know if anyone's seen it.
I think I have, yeah. Okay, it's okay. Deep breaths. It'll happen someday, potentially. Ghost, I want to jump in. What are your thoughts?
GD, are you here with us?
Oh, sorry. What was the question? Sorry, it muted out for a second there.
No worries. Gotta love technology. Do you have any thoughts on these one-off anime options, or hopefully, jeepers, Pokemon Concierge Season 3, hopefully?
I think I think they're very cute, like very charming. So I mean it's a very Concierge is a very very soft series. So and like, I'll admit that that's not always my cup of tea, but I completely understand why a lot of people like it. It's a very it's a very good good thing to get you to relax. So I personally don't really know what to say, what to expect of it, except more of that. And but I will say this for Concierge, it gave the Elemental Monkeys some much needed love, because that's a group that has been getting a lot of hate for many years, and I think Concierge did a lot of positive things for their rep.
And do you think we'll see any other like cool one-off projects or new animations that we might see coming up?
I mean, well, they seem to be. I mean, with I think we will, honestly, because there's the Surfetch and Pichu short. So I kind of, and like there's been a lot of those. Like a couple years back, we got the mini series with the trading card game. So I kind of feel like that's gonna be like the norm moving forward. These little side projects that are that focus on things that the main anime cannot really show in full. So yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we've got animation stuff that, adapts the games. We've got animation stuff that adapts the TCG. So obviously the next step is an animation that adapts the manga. Pokemon Adventures anime, anyone?
That
This is this is my
that
hopium.
No, that's fine, because there's obviously it's always been a pretty heated debate, and it still is. I think I even dare say that that Ash that Ash being retired as main character kind of revived it, but it's always been it's always kind of been, hey, should have Ash remained the main character for this long, or should they have done what Adventures did and just have like rotating protagonists? So yeah. So yeah, I think that's a valid view. I'm not sure how likely it is, but it's very fair to want that, considering the main anime could have very easily been that.
Yeah, I mean, Darren, what are your thoughts on this?
I just want to see a show focused entirely on the adventures of Rowlet. I think that would be amazing. Rowlet deserves even more love than it already gets, and it happens to be my favorite Pokemon. Completely coincidence, I promise. But I'd settle for a show about Grimer as well, or any like underappreciated Pokemon would be fantastic. I just kind of want to see more of that, and really sort of elevate those lesser seen Pokemon.
Oh my god! Like a show around Grimer would be like so cute. I can imagine it. I can imagine it being like he lives his days in the sewers, like, and all he wants is a little friend, and then he meets like, I don't know, like some Pokemon that like mistakenly like ends up in the sewers somehow, and they become fast friends. But Grimer like always gets made fun of, and this Pokemon just like becomes his best friend.
He smells and no one likes him.
Yeah, exactly.
And he just gets bullied all the time. And now there's a Pokemon that actually, it needs to be a Pokemon that can't smell anything, so not a nose pass or something. Or,
yeah.
That
Not
actually
quite
reminds me
that.
that how there's like in Legend CA, when Trubbish gets super excited when it sees a person approach it, like it really wants to be loved, and it's cute, and I get the same kind of vibe from this.
It's just heartbreaking, yeah. But no, the first choice would absolutely be Rowlet. I just loved Rowlet in the anime, and just to add, I didn't really have any sort of comments on the rest of it because the last time I saw the anime, it was Master Quest, and I think I saw some stuff around Ash's final season in Japanese, and that's pretty much it. So I'm also someone that hasn't seen Pokemon Concierge. I'm very sorry to traumatize you further, but yeah, definitely some small spin-off with Pokemon that are underappreciated, or just a show about Rowlet would be fantastic.
So, people on the cast know I am an extreme Alola fan. It is top tier, one of my favorites, and I was actually thinking a couple different anime. One, The Adventures of Rowlet as it flies across the Alola Islands, I think would be really cool.
Oh,
And then the
inject it
other
into my
one
veins.
that I
That's great.
yeah.
Good.
The other thing I was thinking would be like, man, I have long advocated for like a Nat Geo version of Pokemon, but I would really love to see like if we got something Alola related, I would really like to see like a group of field researchers investigating Alola and like actually seeing Alola's wildlife. Anyways, I gotta move on because my goodness, could
I just
I
want to say
just
real
talk?
quick, like if I could have like an anime, a Pokemon anime for anything, I would absolutely adore an adaptation of Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. That would be like my dream, but I know it's never happening. I just wanted to mention that really quick.
So I do want to say I am incredibly surprised they are bringing those games to the Switch, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Um, I'm nerding out and I love it. All right. Anyways, so I wanna move into a couple things. And I know that we have talked about ZA so much on our Bulbacast. We covered the news. We talked about the DLC. We covered the games. We have amped this game up and we've promoted it. We've talked about it, even its flaws. Um, and I'm going to actually step back a bit because this is something I've talked about extensively, and I want our cast to shine here. But I'm going to throw it out here. Do you think we will get any more ZA content in Pokemon Presents? And if so, what will it be? Something small? Something huge? New DLC? What do we think? And I will say the only thing I'm going to add to this is I still believe that we might get new Pokemon ZA DLC based on the fact that they released it like a month after the game released. And I know we have the 30th anniversary, but I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, I think I think it's a bit of a 50-50 case. Like on one hand, I see your point about the DLC, being released only a month after it, and I think that is pretty good evidence. But on the other hand, they might want to have all hands on deck for whatever the Generation 10 release games is going to be. So I'm genuinely not sure. But yeah, like that's like the seed of doubt I had, and I just felt like I needed to mention that.
I was
So I
gonna
will say, oh,
sorry.
go ahead. I said I'd be quiet and I'm talking. So
I was gonna say that I don't think there's gonna be any news about ZA because it got its release, it got the DLC, and so it should be good. But I just remembered that there is revealed and the data mines revealed that there is another mega that's there's like event data for it or something for another mega that hasn't been released or revealed or anything that they haven't done anything with that yet, so this would probably be if they're planning to use it and it's not just some scrapped leftover thing, then I think this would be the time to announce that.
Well, then right now I'm gonna guess right away it's Mega Volcanion. That I think that would be the most likely thing.
So I am pretty sure when we did the DLC cast, we had a full conversation of why no Volcanion Mega, and I think I do want to highlight a couple quick things. So I went through the DLC. I did not get all the megas because of the grind, but that being said, I would love to see a Mega Volcanion. Um, and I think this was brought up. I can't remember if it was you, Storm, who said this on the DLC cast. There is someone else. But a lot of people were saying the DLC felt very final. And I don't want it to be a DLC cast. Um, but I will say if we did have more DLC, one of the things that I would like them to focus on is kind of building upon the world of Kalos a little bit more. I still think it's hilarious that Karina is just decked out in pretty much every Mega Stone. And I think it works with her character. That being said, I do want to throw us in. So, Darren, we were just chatting, as I'm sure you know, about potential Legends ZA content. Do you think there's
Okay.
potential for any Legends ZA content based on megas that were potentially unused and anything else?
Mhm. Uh, Sorry to be really dismissive. I'm going to say no. I think that with Pokemon Pocopia out next week, an inevitable Generation 10 game, I just doubt it. I think perhaps there might be like one Pokemon or maybe a code to get like 5 Pokeballs and a potion for a limited time or something like that. But I think if I were Pokemon Company, I'd be looking at Switch 2 exclusive titles moving forward. I feel like with all these games that we've got coming up, I just think they're probably gonna rest that one now.
I love that. I'll be honest. I've been a big advocate for more Legends ZA stuff, and I think that's partly because it's one of my favorite games that have popped up in a while. But people who listen to the cast also know that I've been a big proponent of Pokopia. I have wanted, and I've been literally talking about this for years on Bulbacast for like a life sim Pokemon game. I'm still kind of bummed that it's not a Pokemon breeder game and we don't get to do like the Stardew Valley type thing of going out, doing all that. Granted, I don't know a ton about the game. But one of the things I do think that this has real opportunity for this Pokemon Day is to highlight Pokopia. And because of that, I want to open us up to any thoughts that do we expect more big news with Pokopia? Do we expect new forms, story plotline, maps? And I'm gonna do one quick note of I said this last time, I'll say this again. I adore Professor Tangrowth, and I really hope that he is not just a limited character. That being said, everybody, what are our thoughts on Pokopia and all of the wonders that could be in there?
My thought is that you know, is that they're not gonna announce anything big or groundbreaking here. Probably just, maybe probably a trailer just kind of, recapping what we already know. Um, and maybe uh, a little more detail about what exactly the roles are that the other alternate forms play. Like we already kind of know about Professor Tangrowth, but we don't really know anything about like the Smear Guru or Pichu or Mosslax, like what their deal is, what they do, etc. Um, so I think they might give us a little more information about that. And I'm hoping that there are going to be like other new forms that in the game that haven't been revealed pre-release, and I hope that they save those for us to discover in the game.
Yeah, I'm pretty much thinking more or less the same. We might get at the very least a tease, a tease of new forms. Like how sometimes we've gotten a lot of times in the past trailers that show a blink and you'll miss it, new silhouette or Pokemon that nobody can identify, and theories run wild, and I think it's very possible that we'll get that will happen for Procopia, because if it's only going to be like Professor Tangrowth, Pikachu, and Moslek and Smearguru, that seems like it's like I don't think that's going to be it for them. That's just 4 forms. I would be expecting at least a couple more at the very least in the final game.
Yeah, so I've got some thoughts on this, and I could be completely off. I mean, if people that listen to this like a week from now, then I apologize if I'm completely wrong. But these Pokemon, and I may have missed this, but maybe these forms have a special purpose in the game. So I'm thinking maybe Smearguru has a function like in Animal Crossing, where you had the Able Sisters, where you could like create, was it the Able Sister where you could create like a canvas and have those designs on clothing and like parasols and things like that. Maybe that's the function of Smearguru. Maybe the other Pokemon forms have different kind of abilities as well that will work in the game.
I think that's a really neat idea, and I think it fits well into the game. I do want to highlight, because it's been a little bit since we've said this. I love the fact that Miracle has a new form or variant. And I know we said this before, but I think it's absolutely genius to go from Smeargle to Smearguru, which I think is probably one of my favorite Pokemon names since Clodsire. And I feel like it works really well, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna fully admit this on the cast. It didn't dawn on me that the Claude in Clodsire might have to do with his intelligence. Because it just dawned on me, Claude is an old insult for someone who's dim, and I now feel incredibly dumb for not connecting that in Clodsire.
Yeah,
But
it's a double meaning. It's a clod as in a clod of dirt, and a clod because it's a lovable derpy boy.
oh yeah, no,
I love
one of the
so
most
much.
I do want to get into something, and I feel like this could be a long conversation. And I know several of us has thoughts on this. We touched on it a little bit in the pre-show. But Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green are releasing here soon, re-releasing. I know we have some strong opinions about Fire Red and Leaf Green, and we can revisit them briefly. But I also want to highlight that we have the possibility of Pokemon XD Coliseum releasing soon. There are potential for more. I believe I definitely saw there's like a big push in Nintendo for more of these games. And so I want to kind of combine two of our questions today. And so do you think we're going to see announcements for the GameCube games in the online expansion pack? But also, do you think that Fire Red and Leaf Green are going to be the only anniversary re-release? And Caps, I feel like I can tell that you really want to answer this question. So I want to start with you.
Sure, thanks. So I'm gonna focus more on the latter point, and I'll save the Fire Red Leaf Green discussion for others because I gave my pretty extensive thoughts on those in a prior stream. But I actually think that XD and Coliseum could get released. I do think there's a potential for them to get shadow dropped, but it feels like a weird sort of thing to tie into the anniversary. So if I had to pick, I'd probably say they don't get shadow dropped. Um, as for the latter point, asking if Fire Red and Leaf Green are going to be the only anniversary tie-ins, um, I think if there's going to be any anniversary tie-ins, it's probably going to be something new. I imagine that Fire Red Leaf Green are probably going to be the only old games, but any other sort of games that get announced that are pertaining to the anniversary probably will be something new. I think Pokopia has a possibility of getting some of that as well. I know that there are quite a couple Kanto Pokemon that have received alternate forms for Pokopia. And it does kind of seem like the kind of cozy game you would want, but it also just kind of seems like just a general spin-off as well. So I wouldn't really count it as necessarily tying into the anniversary. I I'm still holding out hope for a Pokemon MMO. We talked about this a while back on a different stream, but I think that would be a really, really, really good anniversary tie-in. Make it so that you can explore the Kanto and Johto regions just like fully in full 3D, like completely immersed in it. Make the world super big. Give like credence to some of that like kind of MMO inspired gameplay that you saw during Scarlet and Violet with the Union Circle and that sort of thing. I think that would be a really, really cool anniversary tie-in. I'm not going to straight up predict it. It's more of a wish than anything else. But I guess to the point, to answer your question, I do think that Fire and Leaf Green will be the only old games released for the anniversary. And if something else does get tied in, it will be something new.
Yeah, so I think we're probably just going to get Fire Red and Leaf Green for those games. But I do think that on the NSO, if we do get Colosseum and Gale of Darkness, they will get shadow dropped. I think that would be the perfect time to do it. I disagree. I don't think we'll get the MMO. I think it's coming, but I don't think we'll get that this year because I think it will overshadow everything else, especially Gen 10, which I think most of us agree would probably show up. What I would like to see, the dream, would be Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky. But I think it's unlikely given that we don't have DS games on NSO at the moment, at the time of recording.
Yeah, I am also thirding the Fire Red and Leaf Green being the only old game releases. I would love more than anything if Colosseum and Gale of Darkness got at the very least shadow drop. Like those games were my childhood. Fun fact, they were the first actual Pokemon games I played, though I'm also embarrassed to admit that I played them out of order. Yeah, I played Gale of Darkness first and then Colosseum.
I just want to jump in.
Hmm?
There is no shame for playing those games out of order. I know they have a somewhat loosely connected storyline. Well, probably not somewhat loosely. You know, it's there. But I don't blame you. There was definitely an era of like Pokemon games where it was confusing where things were and how to access them. Um, Before I share any thoughts, is there any last things anybody wants to throw out there?
Really quickly, because I forgot about it. So we're all talking at once. Sorry. I just want to see a Pokemon Mini collection. if the Virtual Boy can come, we can get Pokemon Mini. Come on,
That would be cute.
Pokemon Mini.
But yeah, I think that Fire and Leaf Green are probably going to be the only are going to be the only like standalone re-releases. But I think it's possible that we could see Pokemon Pinball being added to NSO, which I don't think the there's because the original was Game Boy, and there was a Ruby and Sapphire one for Game Boy Advance, and I could see them dropping those both at the same time, because I don't think either one is on NSO yet. And those are just they're old small little games that would be really easy to drop in there and to add add the hype kind of thing. But it's not necessarily something that people would really be looking forward to, so they wouldn't want to build it up. And then that could lead into announcing the release date for XD and Gale of Darkness on NSO, because as is from what I heard is that all of the games that were shown off in the trailer, where they were showing off like the GameCube NSO reveal trailer, my understanding is all the games that were shown off there have been added already besides XD and Coliseum. So I feel like those they've there is pressure that they've run out of other things to add. They're gonna have to do it eventually. But they usually do. But from what I've seen of the other stuff that they've added, they announce its edition at least a couple weeks in advance. So I think that they'll announce that it's coming, that Coliseum next year coming to NSO in a couple weeks maybe. That's my prediction.
Just to add to this really quickly, partly because I think it's a valid point to be made. Even if they don't re-release a bunch of games, I highly view this as going to be a big year for Pokemon mobile games. And like, as stated, and everybody who listens to this regularly knows, I love Pokemon Masters. They've already done a bunch of promotion, like hinting major things for that. They've got several mobile games. I would break out laughing if there's anything for Smile. I would believe they would do something for Pokemon Cafe Remix, which I still don't know anyone who plays the game, but apparently it does well enough for them to do that. And of course, like TCG Pocket, Pokemon Go are going to be huge ones for people. But moving into that, I also want to encourage the Twitch chat to start sharing your thoughts, your theories, things like that, because Caps is going to be checking in on this really quickly here soon. But I do want to add, part of the reason I personally think they will shadow drop Coliseum is because there is a large chunk of the fan base that has never experienced Pokemon Coliseum or Gale of Darkness.
They are not ready for Evi's slacking strap, let me tell you that.
Oh no, these are some of the most brutal Pokemon games, even story-wise, that we've ever gotten. And so the fact that we're getting them, and I'll be honest, for people who don't know, I'm honestly really wondering how people are going to react, like this newer players, people who have never played these games, to the realm of you are extremely limited on Pokemon. And I know there's Nuzlockers who are really into that. I am not that, but these games are brutal. And they are unapologetic. And they are also the closest thing we've ever gotten to what some fans want in a Team Rocket version Pokemon game where you steal Pokemon from people. And I know Gale of Darkness, there are other ways to get Pokemon. I'm not going to get into that a whole lot. but I'm interested to see what this is. But I also don't think that Pokemon has the same transparent faith in Fire Red and in like Gale of Darkness and Coliseum as they do in Fire Red and Leaf Green, and I think that's a big part of it. I think they also know there's going to be a lot of press if they shadow job Coliseum and Gale of Darkness, and I think that's cool as well. Everybody gets to do something in Pokemon. And I've been a big advocate that Pokemon change things up for a long time, and they're doing that. That being said, on my long-winded ramble, Caps, what are thoughts? What are ideas? What do we got going on in chat?
Yeah, so I do have one question from the chat that I will definitely highlight at the end, but I also wanted to jump back to our intro question, which was what Pokemon mobile game do you think that, like, what's your left field prediction for a Pokemon mobile game, and what area of life would it be centered around in? And I think it was KR Black who suggested potentially a hold on, let me I want to do it justice. Let me find it real quick. Oh no, it was Hilbert. Hilbert suggested a Pokemon password protector. Your passwords are encrypted by custom teams you create, in parentheses, the pinnacle of security. And I think that's beautiful. Quagsire Joe was asking if he's got to punch in his IVs to get on his phone, which I think is also hilarious. Genuinely though, not out of left field. Maybe they could do it. Who knows? But there was also mention of a fitness app like Machamp being your personal trainer or something like that, which I think one of our panelists mentioned earlier, as well as a potential app, which would be really cool.
That was me.
I
stole that roast.
But the one chat question that we did have comes from Ryoma, who asks, with Game Freak and TPC expanding into phone mobile games, could we see the return of the Pokewalker as a Pokemon fitness or pedometer app? Now, I know we have Pokemon Go, and that's kind of a pedometer. It's kind of a fitness app. But do we think that this is more possible where it's like you send your Pokemon into a region or a location and they walk alongside you and gain levels or something like that and send it back to the main series game? Do you think that's possible? Darren, I think you had jumped in real quick. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, it's fine. I was just like, yes, please. I think that'd be great. Yeah, I don't really have too much of a comment on that. I love the idea of the password manager though. It's fantastic. Put Porygon in charge of it, and if you get your password wrong 10 times, it can just flash red and blue and give you a seizure. No, don't do that. That'd be really bad. Don't do that.
I do want to say, so I think I can't remember when it was, and I can't remember everything about it. But didn't they kind of do that with Pokemon Go and the Pokeball Plus, where like you can put a Pokemon in the Pokeball Plus and walk with it, and then use that to send it to Pokestops? Was that a thing, or am I making that up?
I do think that's right, because I know you can put a Pokemon in the Pokemon Go Plus and like it makes noises or something like that. I never had one. I never knew anybody who had a Pokeball Plus, so I couldn't tell you for sure, but actually, it sounds right.
I have a Pokeball Plus, and it was a feature with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, actually, where you could send. They even called it sending your Pokemon on a stroll, where you could send it to the Pokeball Plus, and yeah, it was like you could I don't remember. I didn't really interact with it much. But I do remember that I thought it was cute that when you that when you plug it into when you plug the Pokeball Plus into charge, that it plays the Pokemon Center healing the sound effect. That was a cute touch. But yeah, so that's kind of a spiritual successor to the Pokewalker, I guess.
And then on top of that, isn't there like a Pokemon Tamagotchi in Japan, or is that a fever dream I had once? Wasn't there like some version of that, which I mean, I would happily buy a Pokemon Tamagotchi and go through that extreme amount of anxiety again for a little while. Which those listening, if you don't know the anxiety that came with a Tamagotchi, and the panic, probably lucky.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The one like you can't leave it unattended for even 5 minutes or it'll start dying of thirst or something.
But Darren, I think I saw you mention this previously. What was there a Pokemon Tamagotchi thing at one point?
They did one for Eevee a few years ago, and I think recently they did a product where you could have like multiple different Pokemon. You could select the one that you wanted. I'm not entirely sure. I've not looked at the product, but I know I really wanted to check it out, and it's Japan only, and it sold out really quickly. So, unfortunately, I think PokeJungle shared something about it on their website. So yeah, I'll have to look into that at some point. But yeah, I'd love one. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I think
Is there anything else?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think you get a lot of the same like features of a Tamagotchi in Pokemon Go already, but it would be cool if they did something a little more dedicated to the kind of like slice of life stuff that, taking care of a little creature, kind of like leans in towards. But yeah, I was just gonna say that and then just mention, Road, that we didn't have any other chat questions yet. If you wanna move on, but also just remind the chat, if any of you guys do want to ask any questions to our panel, we'll check in with you guys one more time towards the end of the cast. So be sure to ping me with your questions in chat if you do want to bring something up, or if you just have a really cool prediction that you want to share for the Pokemon Presents that's happening on Friday.
So I think this is a perfect time, just because we have a little bit of time in this, and I imagine this cast could go wild with this. And one of the things that I want to highlight before we get into Gen 10, because Gen 10, obviously, everybody's going to want to talk about Gen 10. It's going to be huge. I want to kind of really quickly give everybody the opportunity to highlight your top wish. Because Caps kind of got to do this, I got to do this a little bit. But what's your top wish for this Pokemon cast? Like, what do you wish would happen, even if it's a little out there? Oh my gosh, I asked a question and it went silent. I love it.
I didn't prepare for this.
I was trying to remember if I said this already. But I would really love to see either a new Pokemon Mystery Dungeon or a remake of the Explorers games. Because the Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky they're amazing plot wise, but it is really hard to go back to them these days because they just lack so many of the quality of life features that were introduced in later entries. And so it's just such a slog to get through all the dungeons. And so I feel like adding some of the features from from the newer games to make the make the dungeon crawling experience a lot more fun would be a massive improvement for the Explorers games. But then, I would also, I also wouldn't say no to a brand new entry because I'm still waiting for a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game that will let me play as Rowlet.
Yes, perfect. Everything that you've said, I completely agree with 100%. That's exactly what I need. Just give me Explorers of Sky or a brand new Mystery Dungeon game. Yeah, that's the dream. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I also got a third the Mystery Dungeon thing because I also want to add that since one of the playable Pokemon is Vulpix, it would be nice to have Alolan Vulpix specifically as an option. I just think it's cute.
That would be cool.
Definitely.
Not going to cause the emotional damage that I can involving Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I'm going to move on and be a nice host. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to throw it out there. I know it's probably never going to happen. This has been my conspiracy theory for a long time. But Pokemon Snap, I believe, was re-released on the Nintendo Switch Online, if I remember correctly. And then we got Pokemon New Snap. And I would so love to have a new Coliseum game. Partly for things mentioned, or a remake or something. I worry about a remake. And I'm gonna throw it out there. I would love like a not a Pokemon Gen 5 remake in the style of the Dragon Quest 3D games that we've gotten. Like the 2D, 3D. My childhood would be so happy and my days would be filled with rage trying to play the games if we got a Pokemon Coliseum new game. And I say rage because those games are rage inducing. And they are not chill and they are not relaxed. But if we ever got that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, regarding Colosseum and potentially XD games, like one cool big selling point for that is that a lot of the Pokemon that are available in those games got either new evolutions or new forms, and it would be cool to be able to use that. And Eevee is the starter of Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, but because it was in Generation 3, it only has the Kanto and Johto evolutions available to evolve into. So now, if it were to get a remake, you could add the rest of the family and give you even more variety. Fun fact, even though Eevee has been the starter in many games, Sylveon has never actually been available as an evolutionary option for it yet.
I also want to say justice for Glaceon. It's by no means my favorite evolution. I think it's great, but there are so many games where Glaceon is like the end, like towards the very end of the game, and I really think that perhaps, and now Ghost is helping me fuel my fever dream of Coliseum games, and that's gonna be a struggle. um, but you have made really valid points to that, Ghost, and I think that probably more thought out than what I was thinking. But I respect it so much. Gotta love a fellow Coliseum fan. That being
As
said,
a certified Glaceon enjoyer, it is my favorite evolution. I can confirm that it is really annoying to use Glaceon pre Gen 8, but once Gen 8 comes around and they added the ability to use the Ice Stone to evolve it, it becomes a lot easier to access early game. And that's really nice. So I have used one in Shield and Legends Arceus and Legends EA. And I even caught a shiny one in Scarlet and Violet. So
yeah, the only problem with it I can see is that the Ice Stone is still kind of you do have to go well out of your way to get.
yeah.
But in Gale of Darkness specifically, like you get all of the all of the options to evolve your Eevee super early. So in a hypothetical remake, it would be like, oh, just pick one of these. Oh, you want the Ice Stone? Here you go. Evolve your Eevee right away, and watch Glaceon just rip everything to shreds with Icy Wind and stuff.
Yeah.
I will also say, Storm, I can appreciate that struggle. I love Vikavolt. And in the original Alolan games, it was like the last island that you could actually get Vikavolt.
Yeah.
And I am so glad they made it a Thunderstone because I had so much fun having that Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet without having to go to some random point. Anyways, I don't want to rant and get more and more frustrated by that, and I would love to not put this curse out there, but I feel like I've got to say it. I feel like in a Gale of Darkness remake, they would find a reason to remove that feature so early on, or at least make it you have to go to this new place. And I have some venom in that because I also really love some of the evolutions. And yeah, Pokemon. Anyways, moving on. Not going to rant on that for a while.
Here's my way out wild card spin-off prediction. A Switch 2 exclusive Pokemon Ranger game that uses the mouse controls to catch Pokemon.
Yes. I am actually unironically predicting this at some point in time. When they get DS games on NSO, they will drop Pokemon Ranger on NSO. I genuinely think that is going to happen at some point. And if you think that DS games aren't going on NSO, you are silly, because the mouse controls work perfectly as a pointer. So I think it's going to happen. Just not now.
I do want to also put it out there, and oh my gosh, I had the name and now it's gone. The one with the lore lords. Conquest. We need Conquest. At least like a Pokemon Conquest 2. Please, Pokemon.
I don't want to get too nerd out too much here. But I do think that Conquest, if they are going to be releasing games on the eShop, I actually think that Conquest could be one that they do that with as well. And just because if on the off chance they don't do DS games on Switch Online at some point, the touchscreen features in Conquest are very limited, so it would make sense as a standalone release in that sense, although it is very unpopular. It's a very lesser known Pokemon game. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. That would be cool.
Yeah, and just out of respect, I realize we have gone for a while, about an hour. I want to be respectful to all of our cast, all of our audience. We will not stop teasing our discussion on Gen 10 as much as I want to nerd out with Caps and talk about Pokemon Conquest and all of a possible evolution option with Ghost, and not at all resenting this now, but we're going to move on to Gen 10. And I think this is going to take some time, so I'm going to try, also for the sake of our cast, not asking you to be here for 3 hours. But going into Gen 10, going into the 30th anniversary, I really also, I realize I have been doing a lot of talking, which I said I would, but Darren, you are also a guest here, and I really want to get into this. I think you'll have some great insights. Darren, when do you think Gen 10 will actually happen? And do we plan on Gen 10 meeting expectations? And, you know, because I haven't mentioned the leaks community yet, I am going to ask that we try and not dive into any leaks for anyone, out of respect for anybody in the audience, but also anybody on YouTube watching this. But go ahead, Darren, jump on in.
First of all, release date November 19th, 2026. That's my prediction. To answer whether you think it will, I know it's great if I know stuff. I don't, I promise. But in terms of like, will it live up to expectations? I came into this trying to be positive. The answer is quite simply no. It's not a fault of Game Freak. It's the decisions of the Pokemon Company and how they want to push out the games to line up with other merchandise, such as trading cards, toys, figures, and animations. I hope that they've learnt their lesson from Scarlet and Violet's launch state and the software issues that we saw around the Pokemon World Regional Championships, World Championships. It was embarrassing for them, and I hope that it's kind of made them realize, oh, actually, we need to spend more time on these things. But the games, Scarlet and Violet, they sold really well, and they were the fastest selling Nintendo games ever at launch. So people will buy them no matter what state they're in, and they know that they can get away with rushing things out the door unfinished. So it has a very good chance of continuing that ways. I really hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. Please let me be wrong. I hope that this new hardware with the Switch 2, it can handle what they're trying to achieve. A big open world game, it has to really have power behind it. I think the Switch 2 probably has that. But yeah, I really hope that they haven't rushed it out the door, because it would be such a shame.
And just because you raised some really good points, but you haven't always gotten the chance to talk, I want to ask you, and this might be a controversial question for some, might not be. Would you prefer them simply move back to a linear pathway for the sake of the game?
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would.
I love
Whatever it takes to get a game out and be a high quality game that people can still look back on. Like, we look back fondly on Pokemon Platinum, for example, and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. They were good, solid games. That's not me being stuck in the past. I love open world games. I think it's fantastic what they tried to achieve on the Switch. But I do want to see a good quality game than a rushed game.
I respect it. I'm gonna jump in here really quickly. I'm gonna say, so just to be a Scarlet and Violet apologist to a degree, I will say it was not the prettiest game. And I said I'm gonna be an apologist, so I'm gonna be an apologist. Scarlet and Violet runs so much better on a Switch 2. They don't make me feel like I'm getting nauseous, which people know that was one of my biggest complaints about Scarlet and Violet on this Switch. Was as I played through it, I felt physically ill due to the graphics, but I have been on the record in saying Scarlet and Violet on Switch 2, I believe, is like what more like what Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were supposed to be. And I am not a big graphics guy. I love a beautiful game, but I'm more of a story person. But I'm going to say, based on what I saw on Scarlet and Violet on Switch 2, I think that there is real potential for these games to be special. Especially because I feel like Scarlet and Violet were special. There were a lot of components to them that I think are some of the best Pokemon games ever. But yes, they're deeply flawed. I don't know. Does anybody else have thoughts on that? Am I being ridiculous? Please let me know.
I guess I'll jump in. I am not a huge fan of Scarlet and Violet. I just generally don't like the art style. And obviously I was dealing with lots of performance issues, and by the time the performance issues were fixed on the Switch 2, I did not care about the game anymore. Um, so yeah, not a huge fan of Scarlet and Violet. But my controversial hot take is that I think Sword and Shield are really good. Um, and so I would like so my I guess hope for Gen 10 is that um it will have a uh that it will follow in Sword and Shield's footsteps, in that making putting a lot of emphasis on the human characters, and really, giving each of them their own unique like personalities and motivations and dynamics with the other characters and whatnot. 'Cause I think that is a big reason why I love Sword and Shield and the Galar region so much. Is just that um the characters feel um just so much more um fleshed out and interesting than any other region, and so I would love to see Gen 10 do more of that.
I
And
apologize, Ghost. I do. Oh,
in a um in a similar vein, um this is not a very this is not exactly an unpopular opinion, but I do think that voice acting would be an improvement. Um, I don't necessarily it doesn't necessarily have to be like fully voice acted every single line of dialogue. Even just something like the way that Masters does voice acting, where they just kind of have, a bunch of pre-recorded voice clips that can play along with their dialogue. That just kind of gives you a sense it that kind of gives you a sense of what the character's voice sounds like, so that you can then fill in the that you can kind of fill in the gaps yourself. But then, obviously for big important cutscenes, or scenes where a character is literally singing into a microphone, sorry, um, that it would be good for those cutscenes that are supposed to be more important. It'd be good for those to be fully voice acted.
And I apologize for interrupting you, Storm, but I felt like I had a really important thought to make, and I should have waited. But I did want to highlight the differences between Scarlet and Violet and the depth and the value in Legend ZA, which I feel like there was a huge step forward in not just characters, but also the overall development of a game. And so I just wanted to throw it out there. Legend ZA gives me a lot of hope for Gen 10. And I still feel like Legend ZA probably got rushed a bit, but when it comes to a polished Pokemon game in a 3D world that has honestly some of the most memorable, creative, and important characters, cough cough, Team Dynamo, cough cough, um, and the Iron Fist and all of that, I was really impressed. And I just wanted to throw that out there. I could easily gush on the characters and all of that stuff a ton, but I know we are limited on time. And Ghost, you haven't been able to share a lot. I don't know if there's any last thoughts on this now that I've mentioned that, but I'll step back a bit.
Well, to be honest, I'm not really sure what to expect of Generation 10. I know obviously it's going to be it has to be something big, because it's tied to 30th anniversary, and it's also reaching the milestone that we are going into the double digits generations now. So whatever we're going to get, it's probably going to be something pretty darn huge.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to summarize it. I think that's the plan. Um, I do also want to throw out there, I think the current state of the Pokemon fandom and our critiques of games can be a little savage and a little rough. And I think that's true of gaming as an organization and as a group to begin with. But I also know we have people overseas watching, people here. We have we have a lot that we can do and we can talk about But I do want to kind of start wrapping us up. And as we go, I also want to highlight how much I appreciate our cast. There has been a lot of beautiful discussion, a lot of just overall great idea shared. I know we had kind of talked about a lot of our wants and wishes, but Caps, before we're officially done, are there any last comments, any last things we should highlight in the chat before we?
Oh, I think I lost you there at the end road, but I think I got what you were getting. There were a couple of hopes, I think specifically around like we were discussing XD and Coliseum, like potentially a third Aura game or a remake. I think there was a lot of love for what you said, Storm, about Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Even if I do think that they're still playable, I do agree that a remake would be really cool of Explorers of Sky. I also did see stuff about potentially a new PMD game. Lots of spin-off talk. And we did have a couple of chat questions, and I want to quickly maybe like let's quickly like pick like a couple people to answer them. So from Web of Words asks, what's everyone's wish for new aspects or changes from the usual in Champions? And that's something we didn't really get to talk about today. So I wanted to just quickly mention that and see if anybody had any thoughts on Champions, what they might reveal on Friday, or just like thoughts in general about the game and what's been revealed about it so far.
I mean,
I can throw myself under the on the fire for this one. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a competitive Pokemon player. I wish I was from time to time. Then I realized the time commitment and the slog and the overwhelming kind of aspect of this. So, as someone who does not do a lot of competitive, I hope that Pokemon Champions has a smooth and manageable transition. Like, I would love it if there was like an academy feature and they teach certain aspects of things. I'd love it if we kind of had the version of kind of like what super training like X and Y had. But I'd also love there to be like, so my big thing, and part of the reason I love Pokemon Masters is there isn't a lot of co-op. So I would hope there's some kind of filtering with co-op because I've tried competitive and I've been absolutely curb stomped. And I kind of get stuck within aspects of that. And I think that would be a huge deterrent. So if there are clubs, there are ways to do things, or even like the friendship pass kind of thing that X and Y had, I think that would be an amazing addition, and I think that that would also make Pokemon competitive more accessible, and that's what I want. I want accessibility and reasonableness in that.
I wanted to quickly move to GD too, because I think you had begun saying something about that. Do you have any thoughts, GD, about Champions?
Well, from what little has been shown, it's going to. I feel like its main purpose is for it to have a place where you can actually use every single Pokemon that's gonna be available to date. Mainly because the special bracelet that they've advertised like has symbols for all of the gimmicks that we have to date, and there's even and apparently there's even space for one more, which is probably going to be whatever Gen 10 goes with. So yeah, I generally it's probably. I mean, I am really curious to see how on earth they're going to balance around that because some of these gimmicks are very overpowered, like Gigantamax and Terrastal in particular were clearly not designed to be, to be shared with other gimmicks. So it's going to be pure chaos unless there's going to be caveats, or if there's going to be like rules that you can only use one gimmick per battle or something along those lines. But yeah, like I'm just kind of like that game gives me all the vibes of let's grab a big bowl of popcorn and see what happens, because yeah.
Yeah, I certainly think it could be interesting. I'll add my quick thoughts here before we add into we go into the last chat question. I think odds are, I imagine they will have boundaries around that sort of thing. I bet they'll probably have different cups like they've had in the past that you could participate in either online or maybe through a single player campaign where you've got your Terra battles, and this is Terra battles only, and then you've got your Gigantamax battles, and then maybe they'll throw one in that's just complete chaos just for fun, just to see what happens. At least I hope that's what they would do, because that sounds really fun as a casual player. I also think that as a casual player, something that I would really appreciate is VGC can be a little bit daunting to get into just because of how many mechanics there are, the sheer number of Pokemon, and a lot of the intricacies with some of the battling that goes on that the games hardly touch on. And I think that something that could be really nice is just a short single player campaign that takes you through some of the very basic kind of like team building strategies that have been introduced, maybe even going over, and if they really wanted to, looking at like potentially some of like the world champion winning teams and what made them so good. Maybe they go over like a quick introduction to a rain team or an introduction to a Perish Trap team, something like that. I think would be really cool and help people like me who aren't competitively minded at all get more into the competitive battling series. I think it would be kind of cool.
The only guarantee we have is that Incineroar will still be top tier. Incineroar is always going to be top tier. Like
it's
I'm
always
just
going to be
say
top tier.
Right now.
It's except in Smash
always.
Brothers. Except in Smash Brothers, it's not top tier in Smash Brothers, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Really quickly, I just want to throw out. So I have been an Incineroar boy since Alola, the first Alolan games, and I am not a competitive player, but it makes me so happy that Incineroar is now like one of the best all-time competitive Pokemon, because I remember to this day people making fun of him, and it makes me happy that my little fully evolved Litten guy can do his thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cute. I think it's interesting that that's the one that it feels like most people have gravitated towards. It's like that, like, and we have a lot of Rowlet lovers on this cast. But I do feel like it's like Rowlet and Incineroar are the two like Gen 7 starters that I feel like people have really gravitated towards, which is interesting. So the second chat question I wanted to mention comes from, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, but Seraik, who suggests, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, tangentially, about kind of like the animated shorts, potential new introductions to like the animated side of things, but we didn't talk about what they're asking specifically about, which would be the possibility of an animated or live action movie being announced, maybe to coincide with the anniversary, or potentially existing movies being reshown in theaters. And I'll quickly jump in to start. I think a reissue of Pokemon the first movie in theaters to tie in with the anniversary actually seems like maybe a little more expected than I may have initially thought. I can see like movie theaters that do special events and stuff like that potentially really jumping on something like that to capitalize on fans and stuff. And I think that they could potentially do that. As for new movies, I think a live action movie is far more likely than anything animated, as I feel like they've kind of moved away from the animated movies that center around legendary Pokemon recently. I don't think we've gotten a new one since like Gen 7 or something ridiculous.
No, I think the last one was a Gen 8, Secrets of the Jungle, which focused on Sarud specifically.
Oh,
But
I'll be honest, I completely forgot Zarude existed. So yeah, it's been a while.
Understandable.
But I wanted to see if any of our panelists had any thoughts on a live action or animated movie being dropped, or shadow dropped, released, or announced rather. That's the word I'm looking for. On Friday.
I literally got my hand up. Because I'm not gonna lie, I have to say this. Pokemon Detective Pikachu 2.
Yeah?
Oh, that's what I was gonna say too.
Is it gonna happen? I know it was rumored. It was rumored a while back.
So I'm not gonna lie, Storm, I was so desperate in the back of my mind to say that I was like, please, Storm, don't talk before me. Because I know you and I really both want this. I have been craving this. I have said for the longest time that Pokemon Detective Pikachu is not just a good Pokemon movie. It is good cinema. It is such a fun movie. And yes, the plot is a little simple. And yes, it's so easy to know some of the stuff that happens. But my goodness, was that a love letter to Pokemon? And, Deadpool Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu was amazing. So please, Pokemon, let this happen.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely fair, Pokemon stories are not really that complex. Like largely for the most part, even the more, quote unquote mature ones are generally on the simple side. So that's just like par for the course for Pokemon. Like it's like Detective Pikachu is complex by Pokemon standards, but yeah, Pokemon has always had pretty simple storytelling. I mean, remember that the very first games, the Kanto games, like the story is just collect the badges, beat the league, and take down the mafia while you're at it, and that's it.
Yeah, and another reason why I would why I'm still holding out hope for Detective Pikachu 2 is because the we thought that we were never gonna get the sequel game, and then Detective Pikachu Returns came out. So there's still hope that they could make another movie, even even if Tim's that Tim has found his dad and all of that. He can still be a detective. And they could potentially tie into some of the locations and events and stuff from the second game. It would be cute to see live action Pikachu riding on a Luxray or something,
And just to jump in, because I saw the thing that we sent in our discussion of Detective Chikorita. I've got the perfect pitch.
I don't know where you found that, Darren.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
I don't know where you found that, but I want to talk to whoever made that because that's beautiful. I don't know what was going on in their brain, but we must have some brain cells in common because that's incredible.
Just to throw it out there, Detective Pikachu 2 in Lumiose, investigating some Mega Evolution issue, and they have Chikorita as an additional partner Pokemon as like an assistant detective. Just putting it out there.
Also, maybe if it takes place in Lumiose, team up with Luker, who's also an international police guy and stuff.
That would be cool. Or Emma, or both.
Both. Both
Real quick, I wanted to ask Darren, do you have any thoughts on a potential Pokemon movie release or announcement?
Oh, I'm gonna have to think about this one. I'm pretty sure I had something prepared, but I've lost it. I would like to see more movies. I feel like they have I feel like they have moved on now. But a live action movie, and again, I'm completely with you. Detective Pikachu 2 would be fantastic. And I feel like if they did continue the movies, I feel like Ash would be a great character just to have in them. Just have the movies for Ash and his continued stories. Might be a nice sort of way to do it. So it doesn't really follow like any of the stories or things that's going on with the anime, but Ash can be off having his own adventures, doing other things.
Yeah, that would certainly sell. That would sell tickets, I think.
I think so. Just quickly as well, if they do re-release the first Pokemon movie, I hope they re-release the Ancient Mew card as well, or do like an
Ooh.
updated version of it.
I could see them doing that.
I think that would be cool, but my goodness, would that be chaos?
Can you imagine the scalping that would happen as well for the cards?
Oh,
Like,
no.
just
no.
going in
Well,
grabbing
I mean,
boxes
the
and
Van
boxes
Gogh
of them.
exhibit. Didn't the Van
Ugh.
Gogh exhibit like get banned in a country because of something regarding that? Like there was just so much scalping that like a museum was like never again.
I think wasn't there like I could be wrong about this. Wasn't there like a risk to the actual like items and stuff that was on display in the museum because of that as well? I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
I read
heard
I
that
something.
as
remember
well.
something about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really sad. But anyway, yeah.
Um, well, Caps, unless there's any last things you should really highlight, I think this is a good time to roll into our outros.
Yeah, I think so too, Road. We don't have anything else. Chat, thank you so much for all of your questions and interactions throughout the cast. I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far, but stick around. We still have our outros, and I have something special planned for after the cast as well. So be sure to stick around.
Yes, as always, I'll do my outro towards the end. And our outro question is going to be a fun one. I'll simplify it down because we've all done a lot of talking. We've all planned a lot, thought about a lot, and I wanted this to be nice and simple. But Darren, I'm going to start with you. Can you remind everybody who you are, what you're associated, where people can find you, and as well, what would be your dream Pokemon merch for this Pokemon Day?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for a great stream. I've really enjoyed it. I'm really happy that I could celebrate the 30th anniversary of Pokemon with all of you. But for me, yes, I'm going to do this plug. I do apologize for this. So, if you are a long-term fan who loved the earliest days of Pokemon during the late 90s and early 2000s, or you want to learn what it was like for the original generation of Pokemon fans, you should check out my project, which is Johto Times. That's pretty much me. It's a Pokemon newsletter with interviews, collections, opinion pieces, and memories. So you can find me at jototimes.com. And we've got a forum as well if you like those.
And then what's your dream merch?
My dream merch would be that they just restock those 25th anniversary gold and silver things that they had in Japan, because I'm so gutted that we didn't get the sliding unknown puzzles. Just release those and I'll be perfectly happy.
And then Ghost, can you remind us who you are, what you do, where people can find you, and what would you be your dream Pokemon merch?
Well, I am, said before, I am a super moderator in Bulbagarden, and you can find me. You can find me on Twitter, on Tumblr, Instagram, and DeviantArt under the handle Butterflygun. And my dream Pokemon merch. Honestly, if I had to say, like, would be, remember the old timey little plastic figurines that they sell, the very earliest ones. I would like those to be like, I would like that, like every Pokemon to be released in that style, just because I thought they were very cool. They were very cool when I was a kid. I know it's impossible, but one can dream.
And then Storm, can you let us know one last time who you are, where people can find you, and what is your dream merch?
Hi, I'm Storm. Storm Aurora. You can find me on I'm a I'm an admin, part of the leadership board on Bulbapedia. And you can find me on Bulbapedia or on the Bulbagarden Discord at Storm Aurora. And my dream merch would probably be something with Hop and Leon, like maybe like matching plushes or something. I love Postwick Brothers, and I would adore having official merch of them.
I love
And then-
that. That's a great.
I want to throw this out here. I'm Rhodehawk. I'm your humble host. I'm here every Bulbacast. You can also find me on the Bulbagarden YouTube channel where I do Pokemon Masters Scouts on shorts and things. I will be here on the Pokemon Day Reactions cast as well, which that's going to be so much fun. And you know what? I'm going to go so far out there with my dream Pokemon merch. I realize it would be extremely expensive. And those of you who might remember this name might immediately know where I'm going to go with this. But if people remember Techno, that little robot dog that you could have, you could buy at like Toys R Us in the late 90s, early 2000s, that little guy was my best friend for the longest time. And what I would love is a Pokemon techno robot thing that would either be Rowlet, Litten, or Rockruff, which I'm still sad to this day that Rockruff was not an official starter in Alola, because my goodness, do I remember the days of that rumor. And I would love a Rockruff Techno or any of those, because I feel like that would be the coolest nostalgia thing, but at the same time, such a legendary thing to quote unquote own a Pokemon. And Caps, do you want to send us out?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Caps. I'm the Bulbagarden Multimedia coordinator and kind of Rhodehawk's right-hand man with Bulbacast. You can find me at all of my links are in the description of the Twitch channel. So go check them out there. My dream Pokemon merch. Oh boy. You know, I had marked this as a question that I was interested in answering, and then just completely did not think of something. I would say I know well, I guess it's kind of already been announced. But we have a official Pokemon Lego set coming out at some point soon, right? I think the Pikachu one, right? There's like Pikachu and then the starters, and there might be an Eevee. I think those are the three. Darren, you would probably know. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
I think so. I was going to say maybe it's been cancelled and replaced with a Mega Bloks promotion in 2027. I don't know. No, I think it's Mega Bloks Pokemon. Maybe I think there is. I'm sure there's Mega Bloks Pokemon.
I know there are Mega Bloks Pokemon, which is why this Lego
Yeah, I
thing was
mean-
such a big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because traditionally Pokemon had been doing collaborations with Mega Bloks.
I see the jokes.
But then they
failed now. I
finally
didn't
decided.
realise.
Then they finally did this Lego collab, and everybody complained that the Lego pieces were overpriced and didn't even look good. And like I remember people comparing the Lego Pikachu versus the Mega Bloks Pikachu, and like the Mega Bloks Pikachu looks better.
Can I just
Anyway.
really add quick? I was going to add earlier, and I completely forgot. I think that the best thing that they could release, the dream merchandise, Slowpoke Tails and Rage candy bars for $1 million in line with inflation from 2001.
Oh my god, that would be beautiful. Like official candy bars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That would be really funny. Anyway, real quick back to Lego, and then I'll outro us out. But I think to answer the question finally, my dream merch would probably be either a Lego set of the Johto starters or just a like high quality Chikorita Lego. Just, I mean, like I love the guy. I think it would be cool. But that'll never happen. So that's why it's a dream, I guess.
A Lego Slowpoke tail. That's what we need.
A Lego Slowpoke tail. Yeah, there we go.
just
that you
just
can
one
eat.
Slowpoke that you can eat. Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
I just thought of another thing that I would want, that I would love to have, a life-size Flygon plushie.
I feel like that has to exist.
I mean, I know that we have several life-size, Pokemon plushies, but I'm pretty sure Flygon's not among them. Garchomp's the golden boy of the franchise right now, in terms of ground dragons.
Yeah, that's true.
Cool.
That's true. But yeah, no, that's everything. I think I think we could probably go ahead and close out. Rhodehawk, do you want to quickly say anything else, or shall we exit stage left?
I do want to say really quickly, because I got to say this, I do appreciate everybody who has stuck around for the cast, who has watched us discuss this. I do want to plug one more time the Pokemon Day reaction cast. There's a lot of speculation around Pokemon Day. We're going to have an awesome cast. It's going to be a little bit of a shakeup based on some stuff, which we'll get into that day. But if you want to see that, please let us know. And I forgot to say this earlier, but for those of us listening on YouTube, please let us know your predictions as well. We're going to have this up soon, hopefully. And then additionally, those of you who want to join us, we are planning on 8 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, I think, currently. Unless, Caps, I'm wrong. Is that accurate?
I think something like that for the Bulbacast or the simulcast. I can't remember what you
The Bulbacast.
Oh, the Bulbacast. I think the time for the Bulbacast is still yet to be determined, but it's probably going to be in the evening on Friday. So somewhere around like 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. Eastern is probably when we'll start.
Then the last thing I'm going to say is, everybody, whatever you do, however you focus, and you know what, I'm going to throw it out there, however cheesy it is, however you celebrate Pokemon Day, I hope your wishes come true, because this is going to be a big one. This is going to be the 30th anniversary, and Bulbacast is going to be here to celebrate. We've got some exciting ideas, and also, shameless plug, for those of you who love Pokemon Masters, please be excited for some awesome stuff we've got with the Bulbacast coming up there. I'm not obsessed. I don't have a problem whatsoever. But yeah, let's call it there.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. And remember, if you're in the audience, do stick around. We're going to take a short break, but then I have a really special announcement to make in a few minutes once I say goodbye to our cast members here. So we'll go to BRB real quick. But for now, thank you guys very much for watching Bulbacast, and hope you guys have a really good rest of your evening.
Goodbye,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye. Happy anniversary, Pokemon.